Hello and welcome. This is another story time in the garden with Pastor Deborah. Today's story is entitled A King is Born. Please listen and enjoy. Hello everyone again. Gather round. For it's story time with Pastor Deborah. Wilbur, Mr. Turkey, Miss Goose, bluebirds, gather the creatures and the little ones who are visiting with us today here in the garden for story time. Yes, Pastor, we are. Pastor? Yes, Wilbur. Everyone is ready. You can start. Thank you, Wilbur. Great. Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Pastor Deborah. Today's story time is entitled A King is Born. Does everybody remember the last story I told? Yes, Pastor. It was about the blueprints of creation. That is correct. And what does everyone remember about that story of the one who was to be stepping out of his closet of being just one? He was lonely. Yes, he was. And why was he lonely? Because he was alone. Yes, he was. Alone with his own thoughts, images of life and creation. Remember, the last story dealt with his designs and blueprints for all of creation that were to come forth out of his womb of life. He was going to be our father and mother, wasn't he? Yes, little ones. The one was to become creation's father and mother. But this story is one that will begin to build spiritual foundations that all creation would need to have built so that for all eternity they would be able to stand on, even through the storms of time, the winds of rebellion, and the fires of hate that were to come. The one who would become a new life form that has many identities, titles, natures, yet only one essence. And he would be one and only true and living God. The one had the blueprints of all of creation within his own heart, and its images, its visions of things that are a reality in his heart that have not come out of their hidden chambers of his heart to be created. For the one had been living in great faith, for his faith was the very substance that the blueprints were written on, created in and stored until the fullness of time would come to release his images of creation and begin his heart's majestic building program that would last through all of time, even into the realm of his existence, eternity. Deep things hidden away in the one's secret chambers of his imaginations, his deep visions of life and creations. To begin, the one had to become in his nature what he had always been in his hidden world of one, a king. He had to be born, bring forth this identity out of his deep chambers of his image and likeness, for he was already the one true king of creation, into existence and out of the hidden blueprints of creation, a new identity, a new name for himself, a new life form would come as a king. A king had to be born, come into existence, be given life. Does anyone know what a king is? Yes, Wilbur. He's the boss. Yes, he is. Do you know anything else about a king? Anyone? Okay, let me help you. The one knew that whatever he was going to do, it all had to be powerful and majestic. He had to create first within himself to be a king, a sovereign ruler, one of great influence and authority and control, one whose words are law, eternal and unchangeable, one whose own heart and mind sets the standards, the rules for all, one whose own heart would be the standard bearer of all judgment and punishment of those who would rebel against the king and its government, one who rules a territory, a domain, a land as the owner of all, one who is legally responsible for all things in the territory, the land of the king's realm. The one knew he would have to bring out from deep inside of himself his royal nature. The one had to bring forth out of himself his majestic purposes for himself as a king. The one knew he had to be the true and eternal image of this newly born king. Once he organized himself into the royal identity and nature of a king, he would then bring forth out of his own limitless imagination the territory, the land and the domain he would rule, the realm of eternity, the spirit realm, and the soon coming realm of the seen world, the natural. Then he had to bring forth his royal clothes he would clothe himself with. Then he knew he had to have a heart and a mind of a mighty warrior that would bring great victories to himself and thus reveal his great glory of himself as the one and only true living king of all eternity. So this one who had decided to step out of his closet of being just one would not step out until he birthed himself as a king. So he did, and a king was born. And with that birth, the story in the garden ends. No, don't stop now, Pastor. We want to hear more of the story. The story will continue, Wilbur. But for now, go and ponder these truths of the one who was on his way, of stepping out of his closet, of being just one. For as we learn about him, his image, and his likeness, we will be learning about much that has been spiritually hidden in his ancient hidden treasure chests of light. Those who are purposed to be his family, who they are, who they were, about their fall into darkness, and then about their rebirth, and again into their original image and likeness they were always intended to be, a king themselves, and all about the realm of the spirit and the living creatures living in it. Like us, Pastor? Yes, Wilbur, like you. For all of creation, too, fell under the subjection of a fallen angel, and death came alive. We aren't going to die, are we, Pastor? No, Mr. Turkey, you have no death in you, and have been protected here in the Garden of Eden from death and its curse. But you will learn what happened to the realm of the natural, and how it is under great pains because of the curse of death. But now is rest time for everyone, and time to ponder this new wine, this new light of spiritual revelation. See everyone next story time in the garden. Everyone is welcome to come. The bluebirds will be sent to get anyone who desires to come. All the living creatures of the garden will be here to join all for story time in the garden with Pastor Deborah. Love to everyone. Come again. Bye now, Pastor Deborah.